Marc Abdo is a managing partner at Digital Revamp with 8+ years of experience leading global digital strategy and growth. He drives business development in MENA and also works for governments and nonprofits, Fortune 500 companies, and the UN's ICAO. Give him a warm welcome, Ottawa. Come on up, Marc.
Good morning, everyone. So, before we start, let me ask you a question. How many of you this year are expected to deliver great result with a budget which looks good on paper, but it's not realistic in real life? Fair enough. So we're in the right room. So basically, the last speaker before coffee. So I need to make sure that you guys are pumped up and and you're with me. We're gonna play a little game. We're gonna use basically an approach which you're hearing the whole year. So you guys are expected to deliver impact, right, with a limited budget, correct? Okay. So the game is, whenever I say we want, you guys will say impact, and then when I say with a limited, you guys will say budget. Ready? Let's test it. We want with a limited. I'm sure if Mike was here, he would have done it again, but we'll retest it. So that's the agenda. We're gonna go over it, with the presentation. So what impact you guys are trying to make? Think with me. You guys know? So it's basically whether you're fundraising, whether you wanna create, let's say, additional volunteers, or there's like different campaigns which you're running. Effectively, we're gonna talk about the communication strategy. We have 4 quadrants of the media. There's the owned media, shared media, earned media, and paid media, right? We have full control over 1 and 2, which is owned and then shared. Agree? So owned, which is your website, your SEO, your contact list, your emails, publications, and all that. More or less, your shared media is actually everything that you're putting online. You're putting it out there. The third and the fourth, earned and paid, this is where what actually gets you the real reach. You have to have all those put together in the right way to make sure that you have a good for a limited. So here we're going to go over the 3 I's of impact for associations, nonprofit, and governments. First of all, we have the intent. The intent is, why do you act? Basically, what do you aim to achieve, and what's the overall goal? And then we talk about the influence. The influence is mainly, how are you doing it? Is it the ability to inspire? Is it leading, mobilizing, and so on and so forth? And the third would be the impression and the long-lasting effect, because eventually this is where you can ask people to do things or to engage with you. Going on, let's think, who are we really trying to target? Because eventually we do know that we have limited resources, we have limited time, and no one's gonna give us funding and anything just if we're not achieving our actual KPIs and stuff. So do we really understand what do they need? We need to think of like the target market is a broad group of people who may be interested in our product or services. This is 1. 2 would be the target audience. So the target audience is the specific group of people who are most likely the ones that are interested. And then the third are actually your persona. How do we think about it? So from broad, specific to personalized. We're doing all this, why? What's the purpose? What do we need for a limited? Let's do it again. Now let's scream. We need for a limited. Perfect. So how do we define our target audience? There's 4 big pillars. We're talking about geographic segments, city, state, region, climate, communities, everything that you can think about from this side. This, you can analyze it from existing audiences. You guys have been in your industries for a while. You more or less would know what you're going after. The second part would be demographic segments. You can use Google Analytics, and then you can define age, gender, languages, income, education, and such. The third would be the psychographic elements, segments, which are related to budget, which are related to attitude and social and cultural norms. And then behavioral segments, which are the hobbies, and then the social media practices, and then whatever we're doing online and offline. So when you use social media tools, like social listening tools, you would have more data on that. So thinking about it, we have to put all this together to make sure that we have really, we need to put them all in order to have a good formula at the end, a winning formula. I'm going to walk you through right now a project which we did with the World Bank for a project called GAFSP. So they came to us with it was a fair budget. It wasn't small, it wasn't big. But for them, for the World Bank, it's technically considered limited. So they wanted to have the biggest impact in the sense of the mission was to raise funds for their agricultural and agricultural program in different countries. And we had to change the perception about the program which is initiated by the World Bank. And how can we do that? We have to call the international communities. We have to ask them to renew their efforts on this initiative. So, what have we done? So our target audience is technically like 20 or 30 ministers in those 20 or 30 countries which we're going to be working on. We cannot go mass advertising because we're not going to reach them. So which platform is politicians and ministers are the most active on? Any idea? Exactly, X. So Twitter is the best platform which we identified. There is no point for us to go on a mass media spree, and I can literally identify 20 people which I need them to be connected to. So we mapped the messaging, we prepared our content, our assets, and all that. We defined what do we need them to do, and then we pushed the campaign. So by the end of the campaign, in 120 days, we were up 54% on Twitter impressions. We had 150% Twitter mentions, and we had 200% profile visibility. And we managed to fund $1.9 billion in donations. And that was massive. And effectively, how much did it cost us? It wasn't much, because we're literally connecting with 20 people. So even if it costed us X amount, the outcome was what matters, because this is the impact that we were able to deliver. So here also, you can see effectively, this is how we worked on it, between visuals and between the impact and between even, we identified the handles of those ministers to be able to work with them. If you want to think about it from your side, so how can earned media help your organization amplify a message? More or less, earned media is very important because you're always more credible when someone is talking about you and not you're talking about yourself. So I can stand here and say, yeah, we're great. But if someone else that worked with us, or someone that knows me, if Mike comes in and says, oh, Marc is a great person, you guys will believe him more, right? So that's the importance of earned media. But the trick is we have to create content and we have to create messaging that's going to engage people and make them feel part of the story so they can share it. Do you guys know what kind of content do you usually share on social media? Any thoughts? Educational, great. Anything else? Stories about what? It makes you feel, for something related. More or less, the rule is we always share things that makes us laugh. Do you guys share jokes and memes to each other? Obviously. Cry. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen my wife. So my wife follows, there's like a volunteer guy who helps dogs in Africa. And I see her the whole time, even on her good day or bad day, sitting, holding the phone and crying. I'd be like, what's wrong? She was like, he's doing great stuff. I was like, do you want to cry? She's like, yeah, it's so nice. So technically, we always share things that makes us laugh, cry, or teach us something. So now whenever you're creating content, think about it. It has to answer one of those 3 points. So moving on, we're going to now compare 2 things. On the left side, food insecurities. Through strategic partnership and community-based interventions, we aim to address food insecurities challenges affecting vulnerable populations. Do you guys think it's a good caption? Is it a good caption? No? Why? It's too boring, right? Like if I write it, I would fire myself. So, well, I wrote it in a presentation technically. So let's switch to the other side. So 1 in 5 families in Canada struggle to afford food. Your support today helps provide groceries to families who needs it most. Is it more impactful? So this one has more what? And did it cost us anything to change it? Exactly. So now we're going to talk about the formula for driving a story. You have 4 stages. We talk about assets, angles, amplifiers, and avenues. So, by the way, frameworks it makes things easy and makes you, like, let's say, take notes and then, like, get to put them into motion. So, let's try to use less and less abbreviation because, like, it gets less complicated. So assets is anything that you have. It could be right now anything that any person with a phone can create content, and any person with internet can, can disseminate it. So we're talking about the assets. We're talking about the expertise, the experiences, the stories, the data. You all have access to that in your associations and organizations. So it's something that you can use. Then we're going to talk about angles. And so how do you frame it? What do you need to do to make it more, to shape the narrative? So are you working on leadership? Is it innovation? Is it impact? Is it lesson? Are you doing something for the future? Whatever it is, it has to make sense for the audience. Then we talk about the amplifiers. So once we do step 1 and 2, what are we doing to put the message out there? So are we using media? Are we using influencers? Are we using partners? Are we doing events? Have you guys worked with influencers before? Show of hands. How was it? Impactful? Great. Why? Because the influencers, they come in also from the earned media side. So someone is talking about the mission, someone is talking about what you're doing. And then the audience and PR. But I'll tell you one thing. The biggest misconception about PR, it's great to have PR, but it's only valid for 24 hours. So if you don't have the right analytics, the right pixel, and the right things or infrastructure to use it or to actually capture those data, all your efforts will be gone tomorrow. Agree? So step number 4 would be the avenue. So where does it live? Is it LinkedIn? Is it press? Is it podcast? Is it website? Is it a video? So it has to live somewhere. So it's a formula of 4 stages, which all of them has to be done in the right way. And then eventually, so you can have an impact. But know one thing, it doesn't mean that you don't have one shot, by the way. The beauty of now marketing and social media and what we do online is you have the pleasure, or you have the flexibility, I would say, to change very quick to be able to understand if you're making an impact or not, right? So use what you have and then frame it smartly and let other boost it, place it in the right places, and then let's see if it's going to work or not. Think about it also. So why does policymakers and NGOs can't ignore the power of digital storytelling? Any thoughts? More. What do you want? With a limited? Exactly. So that's going to help us effectively get our stories out. It's going to make it more relatable to our audiences to understand that they're engaged with us. So for organization, usually with limited budgets, the storytelling, it turns the purpose into real impact. And then inclusive right now, it's not just bonus, the inclusive storytelling. It's a talent pipeline. So you guys need volunteers. You guys need the donations. You need practitioners, maybe in some cases. So I can right now name in any organization probably 5 or 6 things that you can campaigns that you can do to be able to keep going, right? So we need to be different because everyone is asking for something, but how do we make sure we have the right attention for that? And then if people cannot find themselves in your story, they won't be with you. Think about it like this. You guys are here today, so you're part of the Social Next story in Ottawa, correct? Why? Because you can resonate with it, right? You guys are coming for a purpose. So you're part of the story. And that's exactly what you need to do to your audience to make sure that they're engaged with you. Where right now, the biggest currency, do you guys know what's the best currency right now in the world? Thoughts? What's the best currency? Correct. So that's what we're after. It's literally, we're spending time on our phones, we're scrolling, and we need to create something that's going to stop them from scrolling and engaging with us. So why does storytelling matters? Because it builds trust, it builds human connections. There's the attention scarcity, which we just spoke about, and then effectively there's the emotional engagement and the authenticity. Social media is social and it has to be authentic. You cannot create some kind of content that doesn't represent you, and then when they come and engage with you, they'll figure out you're another person. It has to be real, because otherwise people can actually pick it up. And then So when the budgets are tight, attention is your most valuable asset, because effectively that's what's going to make the difference. And then the stories are, they earn attention and they struggle. And think about it. In your field, right now, all of you can think about 25 stories of people that needs help, or you already helped, or impacts that you already made, correct? So we just need to translate those into content, of course, get their consent to be able to publish it, and then make sure that we're using it to amplify more and more and more our impact. So the key insight: focus creates leverage, especially when the resources are limited. So it's okay to have a limited budget as long as we know what to do. One sentence which really got my attention yesterday in the workshops that we were doing, it goes like, people never doubt how much money the government will spend. They don't have any issue with that. But their biggest problem is, will that money make an impact? The government can spend millions and billions of dollars, but if it's not getting any impact or any helping anyone at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So what we're measuring, the attention, we're using attention to build a better impact, to have a bigger outcome. So I'm going to take you now across another example that we did with Trillium, so their mental health association. Mainly, we needed to help them to have also a better impact. They were using their website. You all have websites. And at some point, we all thought that websites are dead, and websites, like we're doing it as a placeholder to make sure that when someone asks, oh yeah, here's my website, correct? But think about it. This is one of your biggest assets. Think of your website as your house. Do you want your house to be messy? Yeah? No, definitely not. What if what's the first thing you guys would do when someone is coming over? You're going to clean up your house, right? Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be really, really bad. So think of your online visitors, your online audience is coming to your website as your house. It has to be cleaned up. It has to be clear. They have to know what's going to come in it. And then what we did with them, we transformed their culture page and candidate experience page. When you're an association or you're trying to make an impact, it's all about the feeling. It's all about the story. It's all about how they feel when they're engaged with you. So think about it, your volunteers, if they believe in your mission, they're going to stick with you for a while. Your fundraiser, your policymakers, your beneficiaries, if they all believe about what you do and they're convinced that you're the right person for that, no one's going to go anywhere. They're going to just stay with you for a while. So this is just only an example of how to make it. It has to be, when you're looking at your website, actually, I'll rephrase it. Don't yourself look at your website. Have someone who's not connected to you check it out, because you're going to fall into the curse of knowledge. Anyone knows the curse of knowledge? When we do something for a while, we kind of expect that everyone knows about it, and then we're gonna do our actions accordingly. We need to be able to explain it to a 5-year-old with minimal input. When we're doing ideations with our team, we use a kind of an Excel sheet or PowerPoints and such, and then I ask my team to send them to me. They'll be like, no, I want to present it to you. I'll be like, no, I don't want that, because online, when you guys are scrolling, no one's gonna jump in from the phone and be like, oh wait, so I put this image here because I want to try to do 1, 2, 3, right? No one's gonna do that. So your content and your things needs to speak to your audience without you explaining, and that's how this is the success about it, and your website as well. So those are, I'm gonna just skim through them. You can check them in the presentations. And we're going to now talk about the fundamentals of content creation and storytelling. This is the real juice on this side. So the content checklist. Whenever you're creating something, ask yourself the following. So is this content, is it useful? Is it relevant to your industry or association, or is it relevant to your field? Does it add value? If not, then we need to shift it. Is it clear? Is it concise? Is it in line with your brand voice? And is the visual appealing? Because depending on the platform, sometimes content matters more, sometimes visuals matters more. When you're working on LinkedIn, it's more, notice it, when you're scrolling, it's caption then visual. Instagram, it's inverse. So it's visual then caption. So understand that there is no content that fits all for all the platforms. You have to make sure that it's customized based on the behavior of the person. And now we're going to jump to DTPT framework. When we're talking about inclusive storytelling, you have to do 4 stages. You have to diagnose, you have to tailor, you have to publish, and you have to track. Effectively, if you do all of them without reviewing your numbers and your metrics, you're not going to know what to change or what to do better. So what is the rule? What is the first rule of solving your problem? Any idea? It's exactly, it's knowing that you have a problem. So we need to diagnose it. And you can research community, you can talk to stakeholders. By the way, for all of you, the easiest thing that you can do, whenever you're unsure about the problem, you can pick up the phone and talk to your top fundraisers, top donors, talk to your top, let's say, target audience, beneficiaries and such, and ask them, do you think we're doing the right thing? They're gonna tell you, yes, I like this, I don't like that. Or also adding to that, you can talk to people that used to be beneficiaries or donors or policymakers, and that works with you, and ask them, you stopped working with us. What's wrong? What happened? And then effectively, you need to change. Then you need to tailor and adapt the message to the audience, because again, it has to resonate with them. Then we need to publish, to distribute the content strategically. And then effectively, we need to track and measure. We all have reporting. Yes, we hate it, but eventually, if we don't look at the numbers, we don't know that if we're achieving or not. And when you guys are, let's say, presenting to your boards, presenting to your management, this is eventually your bread and butter. So our audience consume now the content differently. Back in the year 2000, it used to be 12 seconds. So now it went to 8, and the goldfish is 7 seconds. So even now we have an attention span shorter than a goldfish. So you have to make sure you have a good story. You have a good story, and it has to be really, really, really attracting. Think about it: laugh, cry, or education, either or. And then when you think about your content, it has to be human. It has to be something which is really, really, really interesting. So you start with your why, you know your audience, you use the power of human stories, you repurpose to multiply effect, and then you amplify through the networks. So it's not about the high impact isn't about storytelling. It's not about only the budget. It's going back to the visuals, the basics, the stories, every single activity that we're doing. Right now, we're going to do like a very, very quick exercise. I think someone, by the way, was asking about the caption in the previous session. It was, how do you know if you have a good caption or not? So this is the formula. Guys, it's simple. Take a photo of the slide, and whenever you're creating something, think about it. So the hook. The goal is to grab attention and then make a promise of content and entice some visitors for further engagement. So you need a title, you need the headline, and you need, it has to be in the first 1 or 2 seconds. Then we jump to the line. So it has to deliver the promise. If you got my attention in the first 1 or 2 seconds, tell me what's next. So I'll stay with you. So the meat, what's the real value of what you're telling me, and then the sinker. So make the content stay with the consumer and make it relevant. So it has to be any piece of content has to fall into one of those. Now to the part that's going to make your life easy. So how are you guys using AI? Obviously. So now we're gonna talk about those are the tools that you can use. The first part is not mainly AI. Those are the basic stuff which you will need: Google Trends, Grammarly, Animaker, Canva, ChatGPT. And then if you want really, really, really effective stuff, anyone tried Notebook LM? By the way, I advise you to try. It's life changing. So I told my designers, if I'm you guys, I'll be concerned, because we can really move a whole department and then get in a Notebook LM. So those will be really helpful for you guys in terms of tools. So this is the algorithm of LinkedIn explained. You'll see it on the slides later on. And then make sure that you all update your LinkedIn profiles, whether for the company or personal, because it's really effective. And on that note, there's a booth which you can take photos on in the main hall to make sure that you have good photos for that. And then for the funnel, it has to be something, go back to basics, impact, and making sure that making it a change. We have a booth there. Would love to connect with you guys. And thank you guys. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for making impactful work. At the end of the day, when you go to breaks, don't ask what tools are we using. Ask what impact are we doing, right? So we need what? With a limited. And thank you all.